Hi, I'm Shannon Sheridan, and I'm a research librarian at PNNL. I'm helping the MSD-LIVE team create how-to guides so that users can maximize the utility of MSD-LIVE. In this tutorial, we will focus on deciding what license you should apply to your dataset. One caveat, I'm not a lawyer, and the content we will cover today addressing licensing is meant to provide general guidance for you as a researcher publishing data. Now, let's look at some things to consider when evaluating your licensing options. When you upload a new dataset to MSD-LIVE, you'll have the opportunity to assign a license to that dataset. There is no single right answer as to which license to assign to content. However, it is always a good idea to select a commonly used license. This helps to ensure the maximum reusability of your work. We specify a few commonly used data and software licenses that you can choose from when committing data to MSD-LIVE. When choosing a license, your first step will be to check if your funder or institution has any specific requirements about licenses. If they have no preference, then consider using one of the public domain dedication licenses. If your discipline usually uses a specific license, then you could consider that as well. Finally, to make reuse as likely as possible, choose a license which makes data available to the widest audience possible and allows the widest range of uses. Now, let's go look at some of these licenses. Creative Commons is one of the more popular forms of licensing in research and scholarly publishing, and they are particularly useful for people who want to share their work as broadly as possible on the internet. There are currently 7 licenses available from Creative Commons. They have an interesting construct in that if you look at them in an image like this, you'll see each license is built of several parts, or permissions, that combine to create each unique license. I'll walk through each license briefly. First up top, we have CC BY. This license allows others to share and adapt the work in any way, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator. Then we have CC BY SA. This license allows others to share and adapt the work, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator, and distribute the material under the same license as the original. So it takes away the ability of a user to change the license on their new work. Next is CC BY ND. This license allows others to share the original work, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator, and do not distribute material that has been remixed, transformed, or built upon. So basically, you can't alter the work and share it. You can only reshare the work as you received it. Then we have CC BY NC. This license allows others to share and adapt the work, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator and don't use the material for commercial purposes. Next is CC BY NC SA. This license allows others to share and adapt the work, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator, don't use the material for commercial purposes, and distribute the material under the same license as the original. Finally, CC BY NC ND. This license allows others to share the original work, so long as they give appropriate credit to the creator, do not distribute material that has been remixed, transformed, or built upon, and don't use the material for commercial purposes. Creative Commons licenses are very popular, but not the only license type. Another commonly used license in data publishing is a public domain dedication. First, we have CC0. The CC0 license places the associated work in the public domain. This means that the author has waived all rights to the work, and others can use, modify, or distribute the work without asking permission. You may still ask to be cited and include an appropriate citation for reusers with the dataset, and this is very common with CC0 and academic publishing. Next, we have the Public Domain Dedication and License, or PDDL. This is another license which dedicates the work to the public domain, but the PDDL is intended mainly for use with databases and the data they contain. This differs from CC0 licenses in that CC0 may be used for any type of content protected by copyright, which can include data. Public domain dedications have two major benefits. The first is that it makes the data available to the widest audience possible and allows the widest range of uses. Secondly, when data requiring citations is blended with similarly licensed data, this can lead to impracticalities with multiple required attributions. This is commonly referred to as attribution stacking. Although CC0 can be used to prevent attribution stacking, attribution is still an important means of recognizing both the source and the authority of the data, and most credible researchers will still provide appropriate citation. To facilitate this, the use of CC0 can include the publishing of non-binding suggestions for best practices in attribution. You can include a line in the README or data record stating, "While this data has been dedicated to the public domain, please credit the source of the data by citing the DOI," or something to that effect. You can quickly and easily add a license in MSD-LIVE by selecting options from a drop-down menu when you go to upload your datasets. This is an optional field, but we strongly encourage that you assign a license to protect you and your data and make sure you get credit for your work. In the GUI for MSD-LIVE, we provide a list of common data and software licenses that you can choose from. If you have some particular constraints from your institution or funding agency, you can also create and assign custom licenses during the upload process. A final note. Public data sharing on a large scale is still relatively new. Things are going to be confusing for a while. People are going to make mistakes. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Share your concerns, successes, and roadblocks with others in your field, publicly if you can. As data sharing becomes more common due to funder and publisher requirements, answers will be increasingly easy to find, and you can help be a part of that process. That brings us to the end of this video. If you have any questions, you can always get support by emailing help@msdlive.org with your questions or suggestions.